working towards peace is never a waste of time. We should all want peace. We should all want to see a peace plan be successful. I will tell you that the work that Jared Kushner and Jason Greenblatt have put into this plan, this is not just a few sentences on a page. I have seen the plan. It's very well thought out. It's detailed. It's doable. And it does things that would improve the lives of the Palestinians, yes, but it doesn't compromise the national security of Israel. And those are the two components we desperately need to see. And so I think that what we've done is, certainly tried to lay the groundwork. I think the Trump administration's been courageous in the way that they said, we're going to push for this and try and do our part. I mean, look, we're not going to beg the Palestinians to come to the peace table, but it really says a lot about the Palestinian Authority that they wouldn't want better for their own people. That's the sad part, because the Palestinians do deserve better. The problem is if their own leaders don't want them to have more, they're never going to get it. I do think that what's coming off of a very successful conference, from what I can tell in Bahrain, shows another approach, which is the Palestinians may not want to come to the table, but if their neighbors want them to come to the table, then it's a totally different ballgame. And I think that the Arab community will see over time they can't continue to babysit the Palestinians. The Americans have already said, we won't babysit the Palestinians. And so I think it's time for them to step up.
If the Palestinians insist on rejecting the deal, what should Israel do? Should it declare that Judah and Samaria are its sovereign territory, like Jerusalem and Golan?
I think we should see how the peace plan plays out. I mean, I think that we should give this a chance. I think everyone should be open-minded as we go into it. I mean, I think if you look at Jerusalem, that was stating a fact. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. No matter what the Arab countries were telling the Palestinians, that is the truth. And I think the Trump administration was very courageous in saying, we're not going to deny the truth anymore. We're going to acknowledge what is real. We have all of our embassies in the capital of countries. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. So why wouldn't the American embassy be there? And I think that was the first thing. When it comes to the Golan Heights, I mean, I think you look at the fact that we're not going to let Assad have that back, but the people there don't want it to go back to Syria. So those were two that we were able to move the ball on. And I think now we just have to see where the Palestinians are. But this is really a moment of truth for them. Do they want to continue to live the way they're living and accept it, or do they want to see what opportunity could look like? It's all in their hands now.
Thank you. Why is Israel mistreated and singled out at the UN? Why does the UN typically condemn Israel's response to an attack rather than the attack itself?
It's interesting because for a while I wanted to see exactly what was the anti-Israel bias about. When I first got there, I had heard about it, but didn't think much of it until I attended the first Middle East session, which, by the way, is not about the Middle East. It's not about Syria. It's not about Yemen. It's not about Hezbollah. It's not about Hamas. It's only about Israel. And when I sat in that first session and heard ambassador after ambassador just bash Israel, just because they always had, it was disgusting. And so that's when we said, we're not going to allow this to happen anymore. There are too many other issues in the Middle East we need to talk about. And so every meeting I would talk about another threat in the Middle East that we should be worried about. And over time, you saw other ambassadors start to do that because the fact was they were embarrassed. What I do think has happened is the Arab countries realized after the 1967 war that they were never going to defeat Israel. So they did the only thing they knew they could, was go after Israel in the UN and do it diplomatically. And because of the wealth of those countries, because of the oil, they went to all the little countries and said, you need to be voting with us. That's what started it. Now it's time to end it, because behind closed doors, so many of those ambassadors respect Israel. Not, the Arab community is the Arab community, but when you look at the other small countries of the 193, there are so many that actually respect the strength and intelligence of Israel. And so I think that what we did was we allowed them to suddenly stand up for the first time and not be alone. And I have to say to my friend and my partner and the person that really I so enjoyed working with, Danny Danone, was just an amazing ambassador at the United Nations.
How can we fight back?
We fight back by calling them out every single time. We call them out every time they tell a lie. We call them out every time they try and create their own truth. We call them out when they think we're not watching. And we never let our guard down, because the more we called them out, the less they would do it. And it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, but the truth is always worth fighting for. And I think that we have to continue to do that. I will continue to do it my own way. I think the president will continue to do it in his way. I think Ambassador Friedman and Jason and, all of those who've worked so hard to fight for the American-Israeli alliance, we fight for that not just because we want to help our ally and friend Israel, but a strong Israel makes a strong America. And so we need everyone to acknowledge the value of Israel. I mean, it is the one bright spot in a really rough neighborhood.